When I first came to BYU, I had a lot of expectations for myself and how school was going to be. I was going to play on the rugby team. That never happened. In fact, I'm more familiar with horizontal running now and feel like a fish out of water when running here. I was going to major in nutrition and help people learn about maintaining a good nutrition, but I soon realized that that was not at all the path I wanted to go down, and changed my major 2 times since then. I was going to have amazing friends, and we were going to go to every single sports game. Turns out I'm more of an introvert than I imagined, and that becoming amazing friends with new people is a lot more difficult in real life sometimes. And on top of that, I haven't gone to a single football game yet. I also imagined that I would go on a date almost every single night. For some reason, in my head, I thought that was just what you did at BYU. And though I did not go dateless, it was more difficult to meet boys to date than I thought it would be. Like me, you may have some expectations for this year and how it's going to be. And also, like me, your path may turn out differently than you have planned. But during my first semester, my friend and I wrote a song that we felt expressed the environment of BYU, and I will share one verse with you. Play the song. While obviously this is heavily satirical, deep down I felt like this was the reality of BYU. However, you can choose to obsess over other people's lives, or you can choose to create a great experience for yourself. At first, I was not doing the best in school for various reasons, but part of it was I had not been to school for 2 years. Another part was I had not studied at BYU, which is more academically competitive and challenging than I was used to. Classes were tough for me, dating seemed impossible, and I felt like, why did I even get accepted here? So now, after a steep learning curve, I feel like I know so much more that I wish I could have really known as a first year at BYU. Here are a few points that I think will help you the most. It's okay to be new at something and not be the best right away. When I first came to BYU, the campus was a little overwhelming. I thought, besides one letter, what's the difference between the JSB and the JFSB? What on earth is the SWKT? How am I going to get to classes in 10 minutes when the classes are across campus? What I didn't know is that all of that would come in time. Try to get to your classes the day before and figure out a good route. And if you get lost, there are tons of people willing to help you. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't let a not so good grade get you down. College is a lot different than high school. It requires a lot more work at home on the student's part. And if you're like me, you didn't have to study very hard in high school. But here, it's competitive. There are a lot of classes that challenge your abilities and require a lot of reading and learning on your part. So sometimes you may underestimate the amount of time or effort that should be put into studying for a test or for preparing for an essay, and this may result in some shocking test scores. Don't let this get you down. It's okay if you get one bad grade. Learn from your mistake and try and study even harder for the next one. Professors actually tell you what to study and how well to do in their class. So if you listen and go to class and work hard outside of class, you will do well. This is something I wish I knew when I first came. For some reason in my mind, I thought I should never bother a professor. Everything they say is critical information that I need to memorize, and that's not always the case. They often tell you what is most important to know, and when they say that, they mean it. Sometimes there can be a lot of things that are important to know. And if you need help studying or narrowing down your study, you can always email your professor. Or even better, you can ask one of the TAs first. Speaking of TAs, teachers' assistants are actually super good resources for helping you in class. Sometimes they are the most underutilized person in the class, but they are super helpful. TAs have taken the class before, so they know exactly what you're going through and what you need to focus on. They also normally get to see the tests before and hold reviews that can help you focus your studies. Don't be afraid to talk to the professor though. It actually really helps you enjoy the class more and helps you learn the subject better. When I first started here, I never talked to professors, but one day I decided to talk to one, and it actually really helped me do better in the class. I felt like I was getting everything, and if I didn't understand something, I could go and talk to the professor. Pro tip, if you want help from your professor, talk to them early in the semester. Don't wait until the day before the test. and you can visit them or schedule visits throughout the semester so you can get to know them better and so they are more willing to help you. Now on to dating. Don't worry if you don't have a date every single night, like I did. Or even if you don't have a date every Friday night. When I first came to BYU, I was super anxious about dating, in a good way, and I had just came home from my mission and was ready to date. But even as a freshman, I was worried about dating too. There are some people who just seem to go on a date every single night. And then there was me sitting at home eating Ben & Jerry's, or rather the off-brand of ice cream because Ben & Jerry's is too expensive, all by myself, dateless. I felt like a complete failure, but what I know now is that it doesn't matter how many dates you go on. Should you try to put yourself out there? Yes. Should you stress and worry that there's something genetically wrong with you and that you are a complete failure? No. What really matters is that you try to put yourself out there, but realize that you don't have to find your eternal companion and marry them in your first semester. Get to know people in your ward and outside of your ward. BYU is like the singles ward you may have gone to in your hometown times 10. There are some seriously awesome leaders and people. Don't be afraid to talk to the person sitting next to you. I went through a whole semester sitting next to a kid in Sunday school and never talking to him until the next semester he was in my FHE group and we became best friends. It made me wish that we had talked earlier in that first semester. Now, back to some academic stuff. If you have a major that you are really interested in, go and take classes and explore that major. Don't pick a major just because you need one. Do your research to find something you think you really might actually enjoy. Look into how many prerequisite classes there are for your major, and then work on those. If you choose a different major later on, choose one that fits into what you were initially interested in, that you have spent a lot of credits working on. There's most likely a major that has a lot of classes that you've taken for your other major that can fit into your new major. You just need to find it. The most important thing that I've learned is that Heavenly Father really watches over each one of us. He wants you to succeed, and if you rely on Him, you will succeed. Sometimes it may feel like you have to put in all the hard work, and that's because you do. But He will help you remember what to study. He will guide you to what major you should go into and what your next step is with that girl or boy you're dating, or if you should go on a mission. He is there to answer all your life questions that you've been wanting so desperately answered. Reading, praying, and going to devotional on Tuesday and going to the temple help keep you spiritually sane, which I have learned helps keep you emotionally, mentally, and physically sane. There's a lot that I've learned, and there's a lot that you're going to learn. But I pray that you will let BYU change you for the better. That whether or not this is your dream college, that you can realize how blessed we are to be here. Thank you.